So as I was preparing what to say, I looked back at some of the events and people that led me to this very spot. And the only answer I could come up with was dumb luck. I'd like to say that I had a grand plan in place, but it feels more like I'm a ship in the ocean, the waves propelling me more than any paddling could ever. This got me thinking about the role randomness and chance has on a person's life, and if we have any control in the decisions that we make. Are we all just random atoms colliding in the universe? And if so, then do we really have any free will at all? We don't have to look far for examples from history regarding this subject. People have often turned to religion and gods to explain destiny and how our lives unfold. Oh, back one. There we go. The ancient Greeks believed that fate was represented by three oracles, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. These divine sisters ruled a person's destiny by spinning their life thread, guiding their decisions, and then cutting the length at the end. Go figure this out. Okay. In ancient Egypt, the god Shai was the guardian of fate and destiny. He was considered the force that guided every step of a person's journey, and in the end would weigh their soul in the afterlife against the feather of truth and justice which adorned his head. It's true that many religions use rituals of sacrifice and praying as the direct act of asking the god or gods to help guide our lives, to grant us good fortune, health, and peace, and in turn are given gratitude for their divine interference, or we curse them for their cruelty when we suffer misfortune. And for those of us who are atheists or agnostic, even science recognizes the profound way chance and probability have on our lives. And studies have shown that our successes and failures have more to do with circumstantial factors than any deliberate effort. If anybody's ever read this book, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, he shows in many examples how people's success can be attributed to something as simple as the year and month you were born, your family heritage, or even the town you grew up in, or the people you knew, or even the language that you speak. It's an unsettling thought knowing that we don't have as much control of our lives as we'd like to think. And I've fought hard to push that idea down so I didn't have to admit it, and that it might be true. It wasn't until last year, about this time, when I was on the Habitat trip in Minnesota, did this come to a head. It's actually thanks to our very own Professor Dave Zacher, who graciously volunteered to join our trip, but nearly tore our group apart when at breakfast one morning, he casually asked the question, do we have free will? Thank you, right? I'm mad too. Well, this obviously sparked some debate, which lasted the entire week, and because he kept insisting that there was a strong possibility that we do not, that every choice that we make in our lives is inevitable due to the external circumstances of our world, that we couldn't be anything more than who we are today because of outside factors beyond our control. And those who are as infuriated as I am, please go see Dave after this sermon and give him a piece of your mind. But over the years, I did some reflection. I began to entertain the idea seriously, and I came to one nagging question. If we have no free will, then what the hell are any of us doing? So today, partly in honor of Professor Zacher, I'm going to delve into this complex and deep issue of free will and destiny, and to try to answer that question of just exactly what the hell we're doing. And for that, I'm going to be doing it with the help of a cinematic masterpiece known as The Karate Kid. I'm going to go under the assumption that maybe some of you haven't seen this movie, but for those who haven't, the story goes as follows. 17-year-old Daniel LaRusso is forced to move from New Jersey to LA to start a new life. The apartment they move in just happens to be where a retired war veteran, Mr. Miyagi, works as a handyman. At Daniel's new school, he meets a beautiful girl whose ex-boyfriend just happens to be a leader of a group of bullies who end up terrorizing him. On Halloween night, this comes to a head, and they corner Daniel, and they start beating him up. Mr. Miyagi comes just in time and thwarts their efforts. Daniel and Mr. Miyagi form a tentative but fast friendship, and they try to diffuse the situation with the bullies. But they just happen to be karate students at the Cobra Kai Dojo, an aggressively violent group who agree to use the upcoming karate tournament to settle their disputes. Daniel-san has just enough time to train with Mr. Miyagi, to learn karate, and against all odds, beats the bullies from the Cobra Kai Dojo in dramatic fashion. Despite their dirty tactics, wins the girl, the tournament, and his confidence. Okay, if you examine this story closely, it's clear that most of the factors that created his success are circumstantial. He didn't choose to be a teenager in the 80s. He was just born when he was born, which also happened to be a great time for bullies. He didn't choose to move to LA. That was because his mom found a new job. And it was only luck that Mr. Miyagi worked at the same building that he just lived in, and it was just luck that he showed up that night as he was getting beat up. Imagine if he had went to bed early. And wasn't it convenient that there just happened to be an upcoming karate tournament? You know, not too soon, just far enough to have time to train. So I don't know about you, it just sounds to me like the fates worked a lot harder than Daniel did. So, okay, I know this is just a story of fiction, and it's written to work out just right. But think about these similar effects of chance on your own lives. The year and place that you were born, your ethnicity, your gender, the people that have crossed your paths by accident, and all the karate tournaments that you could have attended. If life is about chance and fate, then is our role simply to be obedient participants? I say no. I propose that instead of fighting fate's pull, we embrace it. Don't control fate. Control our attitude and outlook. When we find ourselves in a place where we are asking ourselves, just what the hell are we doing? I say, whatever the hell you're doing, keep doing it. As you know, the most famous scene in the movie is when Daniel-san goes to learn karate, but instead, Mr. Miyagi has him work on menial tasks around the house. Wax on, wax off, paint the fence, sand the floor. So I have to note here that it was very convenient that Mr. Miyagi had all those beat up cars, an unpainted fence, and an unsanded floor all at the same time. The fate is ever so clever. But after days of doing this, Daniel is finally fed up. He blows up at Mr. Miyagi. It's his "what the hell am I doing" moment. And Mr. Miyagi replies calmly, "Not everything is as it seems." And this is when the truth comes out, that he was unknowingly being trained the whole time. He just didn't know it until later. And maybe that's the right approach to navigating life, to trust that not everything is as it seems, but will work out later. And that got me reflecting on some of the pivotal Mr. Miyagi moments in my life, when I really couldn't see the purpose of what I was doing until much later. And to think that if I had quit, how different my life would have been. When I was 14, my family was part of a Chinese school community. And one of the things they did is they organized these public performances to promote the school. Just for being tall and an Asian teenager, I was immediately recruited and forced to star in many of their shows and dances. I hated it. This is me as the lead in the traditional dragon dance. And that's me as doing the warrior dance. And there on the right is me with the what the hell am I doing here face, because I hated it. But fast forward 20 years, I was working at a job and a coworker recommended me to an audition with the Chicago Bulls. And for some reason, he must have saw some kind of performance aura in me. But I tried out for the audition, and now I perform as the Chicago Bulls mascot, and I've been doing it for the past 18 years. So it was only then did I appreciate the years of stage experience of my youth that helped me to become this. If you're ever at a game, that's me. Yeah. Okay, so another moment I like to share was when I was in college, looking for jobs to pay my way through school, and just by chance, a friend of a friend of a friend told me about a graphic design internship position off campus. And mind you, I went to the University of Illinois, and off campus meant cornfields and farmlands. Okay, it sounded promising though, so I applied, I got the job, and I was doing some basic graphic design tasks when one day we landed a new client. This is Prairie State Semen Incorporated. For those versed in the arts of animal husbandry, it's an incredibly lucrative business of selling prized animal genetic material. My job as an intern was to collect, scan, and touch up all the photos of the pigs. And this was the days before digital. So I was working with film and prints. I was staring at pig butts for hours, making sure their manhood was shown in the best light. After hundreds of photos, I got really good at this. But I'm thinking to myself the whole time, what the hell am I doing? But today, though, creating stunning images is a big part of my job as a toy designer. And I have to cite my time at that internship as a big reason why I'm so good at it now. I'm just really glad that I don't have to stare at pig butts anymore. Okay, the last example I want to share is actually about my beginnings here at the church. And it begins with a confession. I did not want to come here at all. I didn't grow up with any religion. I didn't have a background in it. The whole concept of church was foreign to me. It just happened that I was new to the area, and my partner Kim suggested that we try something to be part of the community. I hated this idea. When I first attended the first service here, it was a hard no. The whole time I was sitting in the pews, and I was thinking, what the hell am I doing here? But I decided to give it one more try. And so the next week I came back, and I was dropping off my kids at the K-2 room, and they said they were short a teacher. And they asked me if I wanted to sub in for the day. And I said, sure, why not? I wasn't going to be back here again, I thought. I can't point to any one particular moment that resonated with me, but it woke something up. And I really enjoyed the classes. I really enjoyed teaching. And it got me to learn about the church, and it got me to meet the people here. And from K-2, I jumped in, I did 3-5, and then OWL, and then Habitat for Humanity. And because of all those years at UUSG, teaching LRE, OWL, and Habitat, I'm happy to announce that this fall, I will be starting a completely new adventure as a full-time instructor at DePaul University. Thank you, thank you. So I don't think I would ever have considered teaching if I hadn't been part of this church and this community. And I certainly wouldn't have been hired if I hadn't used so many of the references from my teaching experience here. Perhaps the fates have woven, measured, and cut my life, Maybe Dave is right, and we have no free will, and that everything that happens can't have happened in any other way. But for those who might be in a moment where they're just wondering what the hell they might be doing right now, I say to just trust, to keep going. Not everything is as it seems. I don't propose these are definite answers, but I do know that we have the choice to be grateful for everything that's happened. And I'm grateful for everything that has guided me to be where I am today, which is right here, standing in front of this congregation with an exciting adventure ahead of me and not knowing what the hell I'm doing.
Visit us at uusg.org.